All right, ladies and gentlemen, and graphic designers, we're going to do part 9, getting your document ready for the laser cutter. Now, before you say, hey, Mr. Miller, can I cut out my document with a laser cutter? Well, make sure that you do your due diligence first and check out the scoring guide. Okay, read through it, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to let you read this part, but I want you to make sure that you use the pen tool to make a straight line. Use a basic shape. Use a pen tool to make a Bezier curve. Use a pen tool to make a curve with a corner anchor point. Do you have at least one cut, one etch, one burn? And did you use those cut, etches, and burns really well so that we can tell what your document is, as well as with the 3 color options that you have to present your images? The 3 color options are: you have an etch, you have and burning in different colors, and you have the white of the wood. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at my document and see if I did a good job of this. Okay. So it's like, oh, look, look at these nice Bezier curves. I have some straight lines. Look, I have a basic shape. I have a corner anchor point, and you can see that I did a variety of colors here to make it stand out. Okay, so I did well. Okay, so there's a couple things missing. So if you look at the blue around the letters, that's a nice etch. If you look at that, this is supposed to be my cutout. It's not really going to cut out. So if I click on it, let's see what it is. So it's all red, no green, no blue. So 255.00. Okay, 255.00. Okay, but if I look at the stroke, it's 7. That's not going to be a cut, so I have to type in 0.001. Okay, and now if I hit enter, that's going to be a cut. If I click on the letters, okay, so it's 00255. And if I look over here, it's 0.001. So that around the Angry Bird or Angry Miller is going to be a nice edge. Okay, so that's so far so good. Let's go back over here. All right, so we looked at the scoring guide and we're pretty well ready. Okay, so let's go ahead and tune up our document. So it needs to be 24 by 12 RGB and Adobe 6. What does that mean? Well, let me show you. I want you to do this with me. And by the way, there's going to be a quiz on this. So there's a test on this, so make sure you're paying close attention. All right, so let's go here. All right, so we have to go File, Document Setup, Edit Artboards, and it's 24 by 12. Okay, would leave these alone. But if this is not 24 by 12, type in 24 and 12 inches, because that's how big it needs to be for the laser cutter to recognize it. All right, next we're gonna go document color mode, and it has to be RGB twice. Uno, dos. Right here, we're gonna change this from CYMK to RGB, and then same thing up here. It also has to be not CYMK but RGB. So you have to have RGB twice. Okay. So the next thing we have to do is we have to have Adobe 6. So we go edit color settings. So we're going to go edit. We're going to go to, I don't know, color settings. And we're going to click on this and we're going to go down to emulate Adobe Illustrator 6.0 and click OK. All right. So we got that document set up so far. Okay, let's keep going. All right, so now what you can do is you can cut. That's where the laser goes and cuts it out, and you can actually pull it out. You can etch, which is like a very nice fine line. It'll go and it'll like outline it really nice. A burn, that black is going to be a burn at different intensities. All right, we're going to talk more about that later. And then don't forget that you can use negative color. So for example, if this was the wood, so the natural color of the wood creates the cityscape, okay? That's called negative space or negative color. And then that burn creates the key. So, right? So you can draw with the burn and you can just draw with the actual natural color of the wood. That's called negative space. All right. So let's, okay. So make sure that you have some sort of cut like I do. So there's 2 ways to do a cut. So you can do a cut like this, or let me show you a different way. So another way to do a cut is I'm going to turn a bunch of stuff off so you can see it. Oh my gosh, I've got to turn everything off apparently. Oh, there you can see it. So you can just cut out the actual, if that's red right there. So you can just cut out the Angry Bird so the whole Angry Bird himself just flops out. Or you can do a cutout around the Angry Bird. You can't do both. I'm going to do a cutout around the Angry Bird. Okay. Okay, so put a circle around a rectangle around your work. That's a good way to do it. Okay, so now make sure you write this down. A red line at 0.001 is a cut. Okay, so like I said before, a red line 25500 at 001 is a cut. So let me show you that again. Okay, so if I click on this line, okay, it's 0.001. I click over here, it's 25500. If I go to, oh, I turned on my layers off. That was smart. So if I go to the name and I click on this one, it is 00255. So that's blue, all blue, no green, no red, also 0.001. That's an etch. And then let's keep looking here. Black equals a very deep burn. So if you look at this, so I could choose, I could click on this and I could say, oh, that's black, 100%, right? Or I could choose 50%, or I could choose like 25%. Okay, so depending on how dark it is how deep it's going to cut. So it's going to change the coloring a little bit. Okay, and then the other thing you can do, let me turn all my layers back on, is let's turn all these back on. Okay, another thing you can do is a gradient. So if you look at the eyeball, I went from dark black to light. And so the way you can do that is to use the gradient tool. So I'll just draw a square. You click on the gradient tool, and you can, by the way, you can adjust the gradient tool right here. You can use the sliders right there on the gradient tool. Any rate, stuff like that. But any rate, so if you can also go to the gradient tool here, and you can slide stuff around there. You can change it from a radial to a linear gradient. If you wanted, you could add colors. We're not going to add colors, but so if you open up the swatches, so I'm going to grab the swatches over here. I'm going to open up my gradient tool. So you can say, oh, I want to add some yellow in there. And so you can add yellow. Oh, I want to add some little pink in there. Okay, but we're not going to do that. You can change it from linear to, like I said, to radial, but we're not going to do that because I'm going to delete that because it's not really going to show up all that well on the laser cutter. Okay. All right. So now you have your gradient goes from strong to weak, deep to shallow. Okay. Hopefully that makes some sense. If not, ask me questions. So that's what a gradient looks like. Okay. So now in order to get points for this project, make sure you turn the Illustrator project into a classroom. And then after you laser cut, you turn it in the basket. Okay. All right. So so there's going to be a quiz on this first part. Take that quiz. And then there's going to be the next part, actually how to, now that the file is set up for etching, burning, so on and so forth. Oh, one thing I want to show you is check this out. So one of the things too, just to deal with is make sure everything looks good. So if you look at this, it's like, this doesn't look good. So one thing I can do is I can fill this thing with white in order to like hide stuff behind it. So if I fill it with white, it hides stuff behind it. So that's one of the tricks that you use is you change the order of the layers and move things around and fill things with white to block the things behind it. Okay, so I want you to go on to take your quiz and then go on to part 10, how to use the laser cutter.